Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to do some general work in the city. We've got our new massive arcade building up against the wall as a facade, and I have put onto my wanted list all of the parts for a nice big 3D sign on the roof, being Pac-Man and 4 ghosties rather than just the regular 2 from that arcade set. And I've also got my other new facade, which is just the Harry Potter Malfoy Manor, with all of the back taken off it from the recent haul to go somewhere else. So that's probably not in its final position, but is a good addition. And I was kind of thinking about what I really wanted to do as my next big task in the room. And it was to get the train track all linked together, so at least I had the outer loop, because it's been too long without having trains buzzing around. So I thought I'll get on and make that the priority. Yes, it's something I often feel doing this big project of the new Lego room. It's such a big area with so many jobs to do that, well, it can get quite daunting at times and you don't really know where to start. So picking kind of a sub-project that's a bit more manageable and bite-sized is a lot more sensible. So yeah, it's all progress towards the end goal of getting the whole thing packed and stacked. So whatever we do, really, it doesn't matter, as long as we do something. That's my theory. So what I really want to do is kind of link the train line, which currently goes up to the underside of the castle, up to the T-junction, which we've got resting here, which will ultimately go to the main station, but to have it continue around this corner and go all the way up to our level crossing that we have here. So that seems like a relatively manageable task, but I know I'm going to get pulled every which way in between. And the first thing that I did was put in this last table. So that's in here. This is 75 by 150 centimeters. So it's a pretty big table, pretty deep. So we should have a lot more able to put in here than we did in the old city. And you can see now I can kind of position that haunted subway at the end of what will be the second standing hole over to this side. So this space between kind of here all the way up to about here will be the central run of tables. So it's really wide. I mean, it's kind of maximum stretching distance from one standing hole on one side and the other standing hole from the other. So you'll just about be able to reach the middle where we've got the T-junction roughly placed at the moment. So yes. Anyway, I had to get that table in from upstairs, so I've sort of cleared out loads of stuff from there. And this one has 2 full-length legs that go off the back corners, and they go all the way to the floor on the Extendo Olov legs from IKEA. And then we've got some of the smaller, sort of almost kitchen cabinet ones that go from the city level to the subway level. Yes, we've got all sorts of different heights of legs, but those are the ones I've used here. And because of the subway station, the one on this sort of corner, so to speak, is mounted about there. It's about a sort of a third of the way back, just to be out of the way sufficiently, but still have it nice and stable. So I've got that in position. That was the first sort of big task that I did in the breaks between videos. But what that did do is displace my big loop coaster, which was sort of waiting in the wings over there. And I've got it waiting behind me now in the big heap of sort of buildings and detritus from the old room. So really, I need to put that into location. And I'm going to have that as part of the fairground on that side, basically as the bookend of the right-hand side. Golly, you forget how big this thing is. It is so tall. It's going to be clashing with aircraft hanging from the ceiling at this rate. Might have to put some warning lights on the top of the thing. But it's very impressive, isn't it? Wow. So this whole bright green area that's going the full 120 centimeters sort of depth of these tables is going to be a massive, massive, great big fairground that will run all the way from that corner all the way kind of up to, well, a bendy country road that's going to link up with that level crossing. So much bigger than before, and obviously it's going to be 100% motorized. So this one is kind of an unwieldy lump in all of that. So I had to be at one side, kind of out of the way. And I kind of thought it'd fit really well into this sort of railway delineated nook, and it is incredibly close on all sides. You can see that the passenger train can get by on this angle, but only just, and I've tested it with the bulkiest of carriages for the corner, and we've got sort of less than 1 brick sort of width in between the midpoint of one of these longer carriages and the back corner there, but it does work. So it is in position, and I was always going to do this But I was a bit nervous that it would block the mine. And the mine was always going to be blocked to a degree because it's just so far back. But you can see the mine very well from this angle still, where we can see the lovely big Crystal King rock monster coming out and smashing stuff up and all of that lovely track. And you can also still see it very well from the sort of more viewing angle direction behind the harbour. So that's pretty cool. So it's a nice sort of backdrop position. So I think that looks really good. And not too hidden. And it doesn't clash with the nose of the Zeppelin train. That's something else I've been kind of practicing with. All this light. Look how close everything is. It literally only just fits. It's almost like I planned it. So, yeah, now this wasn't very easy to put in because it's on loads of different plates when you build it originally, but they're all green and I wanted it to be bright green. And I had swapped them over sort of one for one. But I'd kind of not known how I was going to do the support network underneath of sort of other plates. So I had to redo all of that kind of bit by bit, pulling off one of the support structures and putting one on while the whole thing's kind of built on top. So it was an absolute nightmare to do. And another thing that I was doing while I was doing that was replacing all of these 1x2 jumpers that were green with bright green ones. So I bought an absolute bag of those when I did a Bricks and Pieces order once, but they are everywhere. They're completely underneath the whole thing. And it's an absolute nightmare doing all of those. So that took absolutely ages. But now it is just bright green. So that is absolutely fabulous. And it needs to be mounted up slightly, basically because there's kind of a hole in it that it needs that would be sort of table depth there for the weight, the counterweight to sort of go down into. So it does need to be this height. And I will be sort of rounding off the integrated edges a bit better. I think I'm going to have a kind of a queuing sort of zigzag here, but you can see I've started it here. It's not going to have any of these blunt corners by the time it's finished, and it's not going to have this ugly edge. But the other reason for having it raised up, apart from the necessity of that counterweight, is having the wire for the motor. Because, well, I only just remembered kind of, well, at the right time in a way, but yeah, only about sort of 80% of the way through doing this job. Hold on, I'm going to have to feed a wire under here as well. So I was able to make the modifications, and you can see that's just temporarily held in place by this little arch. But yeah, it's running basically under all of that, and then the wire's being sort of shepherded up to the motor there. So I don't think we can hide that, but this will get covered up and then go, well, underneath the sort of remaining plates that will be in this section. This is lower deliberately because this is going to be the all the wires and all the workings that will be hidden for the rest of the fairground in that cavity. So yeah, it will dive into the cavity at that edge there. So it is in, and most importantly, it is working, because another thing is this is quite a sort of finely balanced machine, that if you get something that should be vertical not vertical, or you get something that should be pressed down firmly, hey, not pressed down firmly, it doesn't work. And you need to sort of play around and think, oh, why isn't that clicking with that? Or why is it getting stuck there? Or what's it hitting? But yeah, it is working. So when we sort of wired that motor into all the other motors, and it's got a sort of concealed button, maybe in a caravan or something, then it will be even better. But yeah, I just can't get tired of watching this thing go around. So, ooh. Yeah, that was bad framing, but anyway, you get the idea. So that is all in place and all working. So I think I want to embed this now a bit more into my fairground. I don't know exactly where everything else is going to go to dovetail up with this, but I do figure I kind of want a zigzag kind of queue, basically, of loads and loads of people dying to ride the loop coaster. So under here is where everyone's getting on, and there's kind of steps at the back of that you can just see coming down there that go onto this path, and that's where the usual entrance would be that you can see I've just pulled off, partially because I kept falling off. So basically, I think I'm just going to utilise some of this space and do a zigzag here. I don't know quite how long. I might even try and use some of this sort of space here and make it go back in a fun sort of position, so it looks a bit like, did anyone play those old computer games like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Theme Park? So it kind of looks a bit like that, and we can have loads of people waiting with their food and their balloons and all the rest of it. So yeah, that has been a mammoth and long task to get that in position, but I do think that everything works and nothing is hitting anything else that shouldn't, including the carriage when it goes round, if it happened to be going round at the same time as a train. I've tested, I think, everything, he says, touch wood. So yeah, that is looking pretty good, and I hope you think that it isn't too concealing of our mine. Yeah, that is an awesome scene. Don't want that totally hidden. Cool, so I have to have something next to it that's not quite so high, won't we? We'll have to try and remember that. Cool, right, well, I'm going to try and do some further embellishment and sort of smoothing in and making it look a bit nicer, but there's only so far I could go. And besides, aren't we supposed to be doing the train tracks? Hey, that looks a bit more theme parky, doesn't it? With a nice big zigzagging queue to get on the thing, filled with people in due course. And yeah, I've got an absolute load of those fence pieces. I've bought tons way back for creating queues for all the rides, really. So I might have a bit more space to do that now, because I kind of think this will look great, filled up with people, loads of minifigures patiently waiting. And I can even make it a lot longer, you know, using up all of this space should I need to, but I don't know exactly where everything else is going to go. And I need to leave space for some of the food concessions like this hot dog one and the pretzel one that came with this set, and maybe some bigger ones as well from elsewhere, or the food vans that we get with the City Line. So yeah, I think that's really good. And I've moved the entrance over to here that was on the original set over there, which I've just put a grey arch with dark blue tile on top to match the rest of it. So that's sort of been brought forward. And yes, that was flanked on either side by the height board and the kind of warnings board that I've put halfway down the queue, because I think that sort of makes it look a bit more interesting. So yeah, it's kind of taken it from its original footprint and kind of brought it out and into the rest of the fairground. So I think that'd be great. Maybe we can get another sort of active ride in this spot, or maybe this spot, or something like that. Maybe the pirate ship. I think I'll be able to sort of reorganize all of them. Obviously, it have to be one that doesn't need the cavity, because we're just on normal base plates on a slightly higher table here to the cavity section that will be over there. But yeah, it still works and is looking good. I like it very much. I've just realized that the loop kind of coaster sign on this side isn't that visible from, well, any angle really, apart from that one. So I think I might do a second sign and maybe put it somewhere else on top of one of these loops or something like that, so people in the theme park can see it, well, maybe while they're queuing to sort of draw them in, or maybe on top of here perhaps. But yeah, I think that's what I'll do next. And then we can get back to these tracks. Yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? A second loop sign, done in the same sort of font, slightly different pieces, because those are the ones that I had in the right medium azure colour. But that's a bit lower down and a bit more easy to see for the people queuing. That one will attract you from the other end of the fairground, and this one from a bit nearer. So yeah, I like that. It's almost tempting to put one on that side and maybe make them double-sided and really, really go over the top. But I think that'll do for now. That's all the pieces I've got anyway in that colour. Cool, right, so I think we can move on now, but that is looking great. Love that double sign. Come on, one more loop. Woo! Well, it turns out I did have enough pieces to make a second sign, and I've put it on the second loop. I started off doing the original one as a double-sided one, and well, it kind of looked good pointing towards the harbour, but I think this looks even more silly and better. More signs is better than fewer signs. It's official. So yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe I'll make them both double-sided in the long run, which I really don't have pieces for now. But for now, having loop, loop, loop all over the place looks pretty cool if you ask me. Anyway, that has been a much longer sidetrack from our original goal than I expected or intended, but at least it's looking good. So back over here to the train track situation, where I've got an absolute stack of green base plates. This is normal green rather than the bright green of the fairground, and a few more there with scenes on and so on. And I need to get them, well, basically hugging the wall for the entire section. But the biggest, hardest bit is going to be this T-junction, because I'm going to have to ballast under this using my sort of usual process. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy complicated, because this is, well, irregular as anything, isn't it? And not very much like anything I've done before, with a combination of radius sort of 40 turns and radius 56 turns, I think, or I can't even work it out. It kind of blows my mind. But the first step when doing this sort of a process is to get the base plates in the right place compared with the track, then kind of mark out. I use one by one kind of dots just to mark out where it's not going to be covered, kind of the last bit of green. And then it's a question of lifting it up and then putting it back down again about 1,000,000 times to understand whether you want a tile in that position for the filled in sort of section, or a plate. And the plates obviously line up with all of the gaps between the sleepers and the tiles with the smooth underside of this section. And then we can start adding the 3D ballast and all the rest of it to make it look even better. So yeah, and then ultimately we'll be able to take the arcade off its temporary bright green plates and put it onto its final position with the base plates, because it will be very visible down this central run of track, which will be very low rise all the way here. So it will be super visible, and its colourful Pac-Man sign, as well as its Space Invader sign and its Donkey Kong sign, will all be visible from everywhere. So yeah, I think that's the best place for it. So it'll be symmetrically done in the middle there. So yeah, the next job is also very time consuming, and I'd say this time even less enjoyable. Wish me luck. Well, that might be my least favourite job of, well, the entire room probably, apart from perhaps dusting. Wow, that has taken absolutely ages. And at the moment, it looks a bit kind of messy. But yeah, we've got tiles where there need to be smooth sections that are visible, studs where there are studs able to poke through the gaps, and bare base plate where, well, we're going to have it covered so it doesn't need anything at all, because we're trying to save pieces wherever we can after all. There's a few sort of random base plates on the edge there next to Robin playing with his new energy effect piece, and here. They're just so they can hold the studs before they get transferred onto the final resting place. And yeah, the 1x1s in light grey are just showing where I don't want to put tiles and plates kind of on the outside, and obviously the brown tiles are just to hold everything together at this sort of vulnerable point. So when we put that down, you shouldn't be able to see any green through any of the gaps, or at least when it's pushed down anyway. So yeah, that is the culmination of a lot of work. The good thing is it's very pretty, and the other good thing is if I take photographs of it before I put this down, push it all down firmly for the final time, then I'll be able to do it a lot quicker when I do the second one, which will be kind of diametrically opposite in the city right behind us where we're looking now. And yeah, I don't know again how I'm going to get the wire for the motor for the electric points back to the rest of the wiring. I'm tempted to drill a hole directly into the table again. I've got my sort of box here done like the other one to kind of hide it all, but yeah, I haven't really worked out a route for that back, but I don't have to worry about that just yet, because although I might be putting all of this in final position, I'm not sort of building the next section yet anyway. So yeah, I think I can take those photographs, then push this down, and then take off all of those 1x1s again, but to put them back on, kind of on top of wherever there's a stud and wherever the stud round plate will fit, essentially, including in between all of that and on the edges and all the rest of it. And then it should look like everything else, with a nice sort of 3D ballast system and all of the points working as they're supposed to. But it's a very impressive piece from TrixBricks. It looks absolutely great, and I'm looking forward to having it automated and running all of my trains around at once, all from one position. That's going to be fantastic. So yeah, that's why I need to get this loop up and running as the first part of that major project. Oh, exhausting. You know what? I think I might need a break from this, actually. I'm going to do something else for a little bit before I take this up to the next level of adding the light grey ballast. You can't really blame me for that. All right, well, as my break from playing around with train ballast, I'm going to play around with train track. A bit of a busman's holiday, but nonetheless, I've been keen to give this a try, and it's to put in some check rails on my bridges. Now, I didn't know what check rails were because I'm not a train expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I had to Google it. And essentially, they are when you see additional rails in between the two regular ones, kind of like that. And I think I have noticed those and always wondered what on earth they were for, because it's only for a small section, so it's kind of like dual gauge track, but then only for a little bit, and you think, what's the point of that? Well, they used to put them on bridges as a safety feature. So in the worst case situation where a train was derailing off the regular track and was, well, going to plunge into the drink, then essentially it had another chance to kind of bite onto a different rail. So at least it would stay kind of roughly, well, this side of the water rather than that side. So is basically a safety feature, and I thought it might be interesting if I had a second pair of tracks running along on the inside of both of my bridges. Now, I've got some in light grey, I've got some in dark grey. I don't know which ones are going to look better. I mean, that might blend in a little bit too much, and they generally sort of poke out a little bit, so they start just before the bridge and go till just after it. So yeah, that will make this one a lot more interesting. Now, this is the passenger line, the inside one. I'm definitely going to do it on there. I don't think I can do it on the blue bridge for the cargo line, and that's because I've got a couple of cargo wagons, like my lovely Acrobat wagon with its sort of spinning function, where essentially it dips a bit too low. We've got little gearboxes on the bottom here and loads of bricks holding it together. It's pretty fragile really to make it all work, and that would actually clip a rail if it was on the underside of the middle. So we're not going to do it on that one, but maybe that's a more modern bridge, and this one's really old and has still got its check rails intact. So I figure I'm going to put second set of rails along there and then fill in the middle bit with some red bits, and then that'll tie it all together and hopefully look really good. So yeah, if you were the person who suggested that, here is your bedoing. Let's hope it looks good. Hey, I think that looks pretty good. What do you think? I absolutely love the fact that I get wonderful subscriber ideas from all of you to make my ideas even better, adding details that I might not have considered, or in this case, would never have even known about. But yeah, it looks really good. Kind of adds a bit more heft to the bridge. It looks a bit stronger, more robust. I used the light grey in the end for the rails, partially because I needed 10 and I didn't have 10 of the dark grey ones, so that kind of made that decision up for me. But I think the contrast looks really quite good actually. And instead of using tiles in the middle, I've used 2x2 curved slopes, so it kind of has a wave to it, which is just a bit more interesting. And then I've used the grill pieces where I've got these kind of walkways in between the fence pieces above the stanchions on each side, probably for maintenance. I'm thinking maybe we'll add a maintenance man to one of them in due course. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. I didn't have it hanging out the ends as originally planned by sort of 8 studs, because I'm going to have the shimmy track straight away on either side. So yeah, it's not going to align with that curved section at all. So yeah, it still does the job though. Yeah, a nice safety feature on one of my bridges to make it a little bit different. Very cool. So yeah, keep those subscriber ideas coming. And just to check that I've definitely got the clearance, I've got a passenger train here and absolutely no problem. Cool. So yeah, that is a great addition. Thanks very much for that. And yeah, we'll get back on with the original challenge. Well, back to the original task, and I've pulled off all of the 1x1 studs, delineating the area to be ballasted. So it's all looking a bit drab, but I've extended the tracks on the 2 sides and we are ready for the great big push down, and then I can put half of them back in the gaps that are left behind. And then finally it'll look absolutely amazing, I think, and we can link it up with the rest of the system. Whew, what a lot of work. Well, one more fiddly task later and we've got all the studs back as ballast in between the sleepers. And that is the final bit of track, looking pretty good actually, matching every other part that we've done so far. So it looks seamless when it's all joined up. Yes, it's amazing how many parts go into this. I had to do a whole bricks and piece order for the tiles and a few other bits that I needed while I was there. So that's where Robin managed to get his new toy from. And I also got this nest piece. It's kind of a flower outside, but putting a bird in it and putting it on top of that junction box sort of thing looks pretty good if you ask me. Stands out from a distance and makes it look quite interesting and natural. So yeah, that is a very arduous task done, and yeah, as predicted, I haven't made quite as much progress as perhaps I'd hoped. We haven't linked up the loop just yet, but yeah, I think we've done the hardest parts of it so far, so that is all good progress. One more bite out of the Lego room done. Well, that's quite enough track work for today, I think. Yeah, I may have to finish off the straight sections that are a bit more boring in my own time and finish that loop and get a brand new train onto them. Yes, you'll be seeing that soon on the channel. So let's do some fun stuff. I've started accumulating bits and bobs to make a ridiculous tower of supplies for my Explorer vehicle here, I managed to hook out this really old kitchen sink, which I think's a funny joke to sort of add to the big heap. But other people have suggested that I should add things like kayaks and all sorts all strapped to the top of this thing, so it looks absolutely top heavy and ridiculous, and definitely unable to fit underneath my monorail track. But that'll be part of the joke, I think. Anyway, I'm going to finish today just by adding a few more stickers onto my skate area. I've already added one that I got in a brick haul for the skate shop, because that's their logo that I've used from that junk yard set, or junk rat, or whatever he was called. And I've added another little Monkey Kid one in there that just had some dribbling paint from the graffiti. Don't know if you can see that in that darkness. That's a bit better. There we go. So just a face there to go with the monkey, big writing. Then I've got another sort of 1x4x3 panel with the Gravity Games logo, which I think can go on the missing spot over here, which is missing its sticker, so that'll look good there. Bit more colour and contrast. And then for this black and white kind of down ramp here, I thought on all of the black checks I could add one of these stickers by moving them off these pieces onto those ones. And we've got the sort of profile of a skater in white, or the Gravity Games logo in white, and that will stand out brilliantly, I reckon. So I'll be moving those using my patented hot tea technique, and we'll see how they look in a minute. And I think I've got a few more coming on another haul as well, so yeah, that will make it look even better when those arrive too. Well, that is a very tasty way of moving stickers. Having a nice refreshing cup of tea, but also look at the results of that. Looks absolutely amazing. I thought it looked good, but wow, that looks really good. Yeah, so I've got a few more coming, and I want even more now. I want to do, probably the whole wall, that'd be a bit overkill, but definitely the whole ramp. So what do we need, 4 or 5 more? So that'd be really good. But yeah, there's the blue one as well on there. That looks less good, but you know, it's all right. It's good, another colour. A bit of contrast, so yeah, absolutely caked this whole area now. I like this one very much just because it links back to the skate shop in my mall, so that is the sign they use there. Bit more Monkey Kid, why not? But these have got to be the best ones. They look so good, and yeah, I can use the pieces under the sea. Well, that's all we've got time for today, I think, but I'm very happy with my check rails to improve my bridge. Bit of contrast with the grey showing through there. I very much like that. The latest stickers on our very, very, very stickered area of the skate park, looking absolutely amazing, and none better than those. Kind of think it's Tony Hawk or something like that, throwing some air, or whatever they call it. And then we've got our lovely big junction, which is the hardest bit of completing the loop for the new train, to test out the whole perimeter of the new Lego rooms. That'll be good. A new train we might do next time, I think. And then, of course, the integration of the loop coaster with loop, loop, and loop written on the side of it now. So yeah, that is absolutely great. I love that. And when it's all in with the proper plates all around it, and a long queue line and all the rest of it, it'll look amazing. And we really haven't wasted any space at all. So yeah, a pretty long session, but we made some progress. We're slowly getting there, little by little. But yeah, I think I'm going to play with that for a while. And I look forward to playing with the trains for a while as well, very soon. So thanks as always for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. Do also subscribe to the Brick Haul channel, where we're doing another Brick Haul on Wednesday. And if you value these channels, there are many ways in which you can support them. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on this channel, yeah, I think I will be doing that new train build. I've been looking forward to that. No real clues other than that. Or I'll give you a clue. It's on the cargo line, not the passenger line. So that will give you something to guess at. And I do need to obviously convert it for power functions use, like the rest of my things, and using the rechargeable batteries and so on. So anyway, no more spoilers on that. Until next time, see you. Yeah, let's go for one more go. Woo!